So I have an unwelcome visitor on my face right now, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you guys how I'm doing my makeup lately. This has worked really well for me because I like the idea of wearing minimal makeup, but it can be really hard when you have acne and acne scars. So this is what I've been doing lately. I think it looks super cute and it's conducive for whatever type of skin day I'm having, which is great. So let's get started. I'm ready.
Hello, I'm Olivia.
P.S. I have a video in the works that's all about how acne has taken a toll on my mental health and all of the journaling that I have worked through to get to a more neutral, positive place with my self-image. And I touch on everything from neuroplasticity to the history of beauty, and I even managed to slip politics in there for a little bit. You get to watch me make a collage, so it's gonna be a really fun time. Whenever I was really in the thick of things and my acne was at its worst, I felt like I couldn't find a good resource for how to really break down in your head how to not hate yourself when your skin isn't looking good, and how to be okay with not being in control of all that. So if that sounds interesting to you, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I will see you soon. Okay, back to the fun part. I don't usually wash my face before I do my makeup. I have started recently because I have a new acne medication that I have to use in the morning, but before that I was just using the hypochloric acid, and this is the jumbo one you get from Amazon. Don't get scammed into buying one of those really expensive ones from, I think Tower 28 has one that's ridiculously expensive. It's just hypochloric acid. And this is great because then I don't have to dry out my skin more, especially if it's already dry from all the acne medication. But I get to get all those crusties out of my eyes because you can use this on your eyes too if you get styes. So that is my step number one, to just get the skin roll prepped. And then the sunscreen stuff is so nice because I don't like the smell of sunscreen. I think most people can agree that it's just not a super comfortable thing to wear on your skin, especially if you have acne. But while I'm doing this, I kind of like to check in with myself. This is something that I will talk about a lot more in that other video that I have coming. Here is a real life example of me doing one of the things I talk about in the video, which is I just like to see how I'm feeling. Do I feel disgusted with myself right now? Right now, I feel pretty good. But I like to remind myself, especially if I'm feeling really down about how I'm looking without makeup on, just a little affirmation that I'll repeat throughout the whole makeup process so that I remind myself I'm not gonna look perfect at the end of my makeup routine. I don't look perfect at the end of my makeup routine, even when I don't have acne. And that is okay. Makeup on screen a lot of the times looks like it comes out perfect. You know, from far away, my skin looks a lot better with all of the nice lighting and stuff. Close up, it looks a lot different. You know, what I'm seeing in the mornings when I'm looking at my skin is a lot different from what you can see a lot of the time on makeup videos. And I really, really appreciate people who have acne and people that don't have acne who are getting really close to the camera, showing you their makeup in different lighting, because that's so important. You really don't see that very often. So I will check in with myself, and then I will say something along the lines of, acne does not take away from my positive features. And I'll just maybe repeat that while I'm doing my makeup. It can be whatever you want it to be, obviously, but that works well for me because then it's a reminder that I'm doing my makeup to enhance my favorite parts of my face. I love my eyebrows. I love my cheekbones. And those are the things that I'm gonna focus on highlighting rather than focus on hiding the parts that I don't like. So that just really helps me stay in the correct mindset throughout the process. And makeup is fun. It's supposed to be fun. It can be fun. But if you're feeling like shit about yourself and that's why you're doing your makeup, then it's not fun. It's like do or die. From there, I will start on my eyes. I usually do my eyebrows first. This is the Ardell Brow Glue. My brows are pretty stubborn, so this is the only brow gel I've tried that ever has actually worked for me. You have to make sure not to go overboard. I'll do a few little dots. Then I brush up. Brush everything all the way up. You can use the brush for the finishing step that it comes with, but I have one of these things and I like to use this instead to just brush down the ends because it can be easy to overdo it with that product. And I will say, as much as I love this stuff, be careful with getting too much of it on the skin, like above your eyebrows, because it has made me break out. Not very much, just like one like right here or one down here, but something to be aware of. I need to do my other brow, so let me go ahead and do that. I almost forgot, I just like put it away. Ta-da! So I have a scar in my eyebrow, so I like to fill that in with the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Pen. I love the pen. It's my favorite. So if you haven't tried one before, it's definitely worth a try. I like how small of strokes I can get because I don't want a lot. And then also I can fill in that spot like really heavy with the pen. The story behind how I got that scar is really funny. I used to work at Dillard's as a visual merchandising manager. Dillard sucks, by the way. I fucking hated working there. It was awful. They were awful to me. But that's another story. While I was doing a visual setup, I was working with this mannequin that must have been ancient. Like, nobody must have used it in a while because I could not get the arm off of it. And it was like a socket. So this is the mannequin arm. This is the body. It was like a socket like this that you would like push up to release it and take it out. And it was just stuck. I could not get it out. I was pushing it up and up and up, and it wouldn't budge. And then all of a sudden, it came loose. And because I had been pushing it up so hard, and I didn't know that it like released before it was too late, I whacked myself in the face with it. And then I was just pouring blood out of my eyebrow. And there was another person there that worked with me, and I just start cracking up. I'm like holding my eyebrow. There's blood everywhere. It was a fun time. And I still had to keep working after that. They didn't want me to go home or anything. Ugh. I'm going to show you how I do my eyeliner next. This is my dinky little eyeliner that has lasted me so much longer than I expected. I bought a new one like months ago thinking this one was about to be dead, but it's still going strong. But this is the Wonder Skin 1440 long wear eyeliner. I like a very specific type of brown, and this is the only one I could find that was not too dark. I want it to be obvious that it's brown, and I feel like a lot of browns look like they're almost black. I have a weird way that I do my eyeliner. I'm very bad at it, you could say, but it looks good in the end. I have a little bit of a hooded eye. There's a little bit of space right there where the eyeliner still has room to go. So a lot of people say to go directly up. I can't really do that with the placement on my hooded eye, especially on this side, it's worse. So I go out and up, and I just, like I'm a toddler with a crayon, just glob it on there. Because what I'm doing is I'm gonna go in with one of these pointed Q-tips after the fact, and I'm going to sculpt out where the eyeliner actually should be. Super cute, right? Looks great. I realize this is a thing about myself in multiple other areas. I recently painted one of my friend's nails, and it's this really cute little frog nail art, right? And it turned out great. I was really proud of it. And then later that day, I tried to draw the same frog on a whiteboard, and it looked awful. And my friend was cracking up like, how is it possible that you could have created this adorable little creature on my nail, but it looks so terrifying on the whiteboard? Like, that is god awful. And we came to the conclusion that it's because I can work with shapes and like art in general from the inside out. Like, I can shape it once the color is down. So like with nail art, you put a blob down and you slowly make it bigger. So it's kind of the same thing. Whereas with a whiteboard, you're like creating the outline of the shape, which I have a harder time with. Which makes sense why I also like collages, because I just rip the paper up and then the shape kind of like comes to me as I'm ripping the paper up. She's looking pretty cute. She's a little bit big, but I don't mind her. Okay, so they just have to look close enough. So I'm gonna say that's pretty good. And sometimes I accidentally take too much off of one while I'm doing my sculpting process. So I have the NYX Epic Ink Liner Professional Makeup Pen. I don't really like using this for my actual eyeliner application because you can't work with it once it dries. You can't like wipe it off as smoothly as with the pencil, but I can use it for like a little extra length on one side, or if I take off a little bit too much here or there, I can just fill it in the space. And it's a slightly different color, but nobody's gonna notice. Okay, let's go to the next part. I have been using the Revlon Illuminance Serum Tint in shade 201. It's the perfect, like slightly more tan than I actually am color. I really like this because it's buildable. So even though it looks and feels really lightweight, I still get honestly plenty of coverage from it, like a surprising amount of coverage for how lightweight it is. I take this onto the back of my hand like a real professional makeup artist, and I only need about that much. That might even be too much. I start on the part of my skin with the most scars, so I usually like to start right down here. And this is important. Do not put it where you're gonna put the blush. So that's all through here, okay? Unless you really need the coverage through there. But even then, I'm gonna show you how to blend everything together and cover up spots that you don't want. Like for example, this is a little bit on the border and I usually have to put a little bit of concealer there, but I will show you how to make that work after the fact. So I'm going to start right there and I really just press it in to the spots that I need it the most. So you have foundation on your forehead and you have foundation on your cheeks. You got to make sure to blend it down. Even though we're not going right here, we are going to go right here. Our skin does not look perfect, obviously, but it looks nice and glowy, a little bit more coverage of that redness. We are going to do the fun part with the blush. So this is the Milk Jelly Tint Cooling Water, you know, the viral one in shade Chill. I think it's the perfect color for this look because it looks kind of like a sunburn color. You know, I have a cool undertone. Even though I do get tan, I never use bronzer. I'm afraid to look orange, I really am. So this kind of gives me the effect of being out in the sun without using bronzer. Maybe I shouldn't be afraid of using it, but this is what I'm doing. In my dominant hand, I take the brush. You do have to be a little bit quick. And then in my non-dominant hand, I go right on the bridge of the nose to start with. So we are gonna go right there and then blend the edges. And it just looks like I got a little bit of sunburn on my nose, which is ironic that I want that considering how much I'm protecting my face from the sun. But that's the way beauty trends go. They're stupid. We'll be talking about that in my other video. From there, I go to one side or the other of the face. And I start right here and I go up into the eye area actually. I mostly just blend out the edges because I don't want to blend away too much of the middle part. And then I go in again right underneath that. Make sure you're blending into the foundation area right down here. And when you put the freckles on top, it really comes together. And if it is looking a little bit patchy in any areas, you can just dab. Speaking of dabbing, we're gonna do the forehead now. And that, I don't like it to be super intense, so I do just dab it. Boop, 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 boop. Adorable. I feel adorable. This is where the magic happens, ladies and gentlemen. I have this cheap ass freckle pen from Amazon, a Caria freckle pen. It's like $4. I don't recommend it. it's not that good. I do like to add a little bit of color correction under my eyes real quick. Not that it needs it since I did put the blush directly under my eyes. Here is my broken Huda Beauty faux filter corrector that I just put the tiniest little bit under there. This is my little Revlon silicone applicator. I love this for under my eyes. Combined with the freckle pen, it makes the freckle pen not suck so much. I will take the applicator and shove it down onto this silicone pad, really get a lot of the product out, and then go in with the freckles. How do we get our unwelcome visitor to go away? We just put a freckle on top of it. Now, right now, he is a lot smaller, a lot less red and inflamed, so it's a lot easier to do this without all the extra concealer work. What I was doing for the last few days was I was getting the teeniest, tiniest little baby brush in the world, and I will just take that with a little bit of this pot concealer from NARS, the Light 2 Vanilla Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and I would go right around that little dot, and then you can either go in with your finger or, depending on the size of the job, something like this guy I like to use often. These guys I have been covering up with freckles lately. They're just scars, so they're hard to cover up. But sometimes, especially when they were darker, it didn't look right. I couldn't get it to work. So I would just go in with the concealer and dab it on the top and then put the freckle on. So that's another option. And then it's like it never existed. No one would ever know. And the nice thing about putting it on a raised bump is, you know, moles are raised. So who the hell is gonna know? Besides people who know that you don't have freckles and then one day you show up with freckles. But, you know, I was doing this for a while and my boss never mentioned it. So I was like, oh, I guess I fooled her. And she was like, oh, I was like, oh, I guess I fooled her. And then one day we were out at Dallas Market. We were buying clothes for the boutique. And so there was like a younger person and they said, oh, I love your freckles. Did you do those yourself? And I was like, yeah, thank you. And my boss was like, I noticed that those just appeared one day out of nowhere, but I didn't want to mention it because I thought that maybe you had gotten skin damage or something and I felt like it would be awkward to mention it. She was just absolutely taken back by the fact that people draw on freckles. She didn't even know it was a thing. So if you're around a lot of adults that wouldn't, not that I'm not an adult, if you're around a lot of, I don't know, older people, I guess, they might not even think to ask. And that works in your benefit. So I just keep getting out extra product, tap it onto the tip part, and then just go to town. I usually work like maybe in a little section because you want it to look random. Now, mind you, this is not my creative genius. I saw this from Mia Ping, a makeup artist, and she was doing this on her acne scars. So I started doing it on my acne scars, and then I recently had a few breakouts and I realized it works just as well for acne, which was very exciting for me to see because it happens. We can't be perfect. Even when we think that we're in remission, things happen. So for the acne scars, I will pick my least favorite spots or like the most prominent spots, and I will put little freckles down there because people have freckles everywhere. It doesn't have to be just on the cheeks, and then I feel like it looks a little bit more natural too. And you don't have to cover all of them up because when you cover up a few of them, it makes the rest of them, when the eye is glossing over your face, kind of just look like they're lighter freckles. And then of course you got to get the nose. Just do a few on the nose. I'm going to be done with the freckles. Sometimes I will put them on the forehead area, but I've kind of stopped doing that. I don't think it really adds that much, but it depends on the mood, I guess. Concealer time. So I'm going to put, with my silicone brush, just a little bit under the eyes, with the same NARS Pot Concealer. Blend it into my blush a little bit. If there's anything that could not be covered up with the freckles or just isn't looking quite right, I will go in with concealer. With that little teeny tiny baby brush. Where are you, baby brush? I'll just leave all of the extra scars showing so that it looks like freckles. But sometimes there's those ones that just really bother you and you just don't want them there. So being able to cover that one part up makes the whole face feel more fresh. We're gonna go in with some powder because I'm looking a little bit oily, a little bit too glowy for my liking. Just around the T-zone really is what I do. Boop, boop. Last but not least, I use some setting spray to make sure this lasts all day. I use everyone's favorite, the Milani Make It Last. I haven't tried any other ones. I just saw that this was like the one, so I just got this one because everyone liked it, so it must be good. And I think it works, I think. And then that's it. I'm all set for the day. I look super cute. I got my little freckles on and my skin is not perfect, but my favorite parts of my face are highlighted and I'm happy. Please join me for my next video. I have a lot of interesting things to say. Thanks for watching. Bye.
And that's the end of my movie.
Okay.